Welcome back to some new r/petty revenge stories, where people share small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called A Rash Decision. In my previous job, a colleague had accrued over $4,500 in travel stipends throughout the year. He left the company on good terms, but unexpectedly, I received a notice about a debt in his name that somehow fell into my lap. I reached out to him to relay the message, but his response was unexpectedly harsh. Despite my role as a mere messenger and being in a relatively senior position, he seemed to relish the opportunity to lash out at someone above him in the company hierarchy. He grudgingly agreed to settle the debt, expressing frustration over the financial burden it would impose. As I wrapped up our call with an apology for the inconvenience, he abruptly hung up. Ironically, he was unaware that I had just assisted another individual in clearing a much larger debt of over $6,000, thanks to some loopholes I'd discovered. My plan was to extend the same courtesy to him. If the payment proved burdensome, I was prepared to help. To settle the debt without further discussion, closed that door. Just an hour later, I learned he had paid in full, missing out on a potential resolution I could have offered. The next story is called Front Desk Panic. When I started my evening shift, Karen was writing an invoice at the front desk, and I got a separate service request. I started using the second terminal to enter the service order, when Karen took a phone call for our proposal. She never interrupted a purchase to take a call. Then she froze up the front terminal and could not complete her initial order. Not a good multitasker, this Karen. So her solution was apparently to kick me off the second terminal and finish her order. I said no. 30 seconds at least for me to finish. She had a fit then, and in a panic also triggered the credit card machine to reboot, somehow, leaving her flailing about with nothing working. So her phone call/proposal could not be completed, and I had to offer her the backup credit card machine to confirm her charge. Okay, done. Shift over. Karen leaves the store and goes home. I have a quiet evening working, and the phone call came back for Karen. But when I said she would be in on Friday, the caller asked me for the proposal. I gave it to him, and Karen lost the biggest purchase that day, because she panicked when a little computer glitch got in her way. The third story is called MySpace. I was flying home from a work trip. On this flight, a man sat next to me. He wasn't super tall, about average in height. He needed to go to the bathroom, so I got up, let him out, and got up again to let him in. As I sat back down, my legs hit his. I looked down to see his legs about halfway into my aisle, leaving me with about a third of the space I had. I thought he's going to move, and he got plenty of space, because he doesn't have a bag under his seat, but he keeps it there. I'm sitting side saddle in my seat at this point. I look at him, then at his leg, then back at him. He blatantly stares at me, and pulls out his phone and just starts playing on it. So I lift my foot and place it over his foot, setting the dirty sole of my Converses on what looks like new white Nikes. Fabric ones too, not leather. He immediately whips his head up at me, and I just followed his example and pulled out my tablet and started reading. He pulled his foot away and had a nasty attitude the whole plane ride, but I got my space back. The last story is called A Grand a Month. A friend, after graduating college, got a chunk of land as a graduation gift from his grandfather, lakefront property. So with help from friends and family, we helped him clear everything and built a nice driveway and a small cabin. He had a great little completion weekend party. When everything was mostly done, some of his neighbors that weekend warned him about the Karen on the adjacent property to the right. Fast forward to a year later, his neighbor to the right shows up and tells him that he had missurveyed his land and built illegally, that his driveway is on their land, and part of his cabin is on their land as well. In order to rectify this, he had to remove his driveway, replant the trees removed, and either move his cabin or pay $1,000 a month as the land rental if he doesn't move his cabin. My friend did the surveying of the land himself, so at the time he thought maybe he made a mistake and tried to make a more beneficial agreement with the neighbor about sharing the land, since it's not on Canada and the properties are only usable in the summer for camping and weekend getaways. But the guy wouldn't budge and told him if he didn't agree to the original terms, he'll see him in small claims court. My friend realized he couldn't afford to go to court, but could afford a couple $100 to get a government survey done, so he went with that option. Turns out the neighbor's cabin was a foot on my friend's land. Also, the neighbor's very nice walkway, stairs to the lake, the beautiful boat launch, and the dock were all on my friend's property, so he resorted to pettiness, told the neighbor that he built illegally on his land, and in order not to go to court over this, the walkway, stairs, dock, and boat launch were his now. If he saw the neighbor using them, he'd get him for trespassing. He also told him that the cabin had to be moved, or a payment of $1,000 a month for land rental would be acceptable. A month later, his neighbor moved the cabin and had a large fence built, splitting their properties. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.